Hello. Hello.
Okay. All right, well, it is 6:30. I'd like to call this meeting in order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, could I please have a roll call?
Supervisor Alexavian.
Here.
Trustee Dean Morelli.
Here.
Trustee Karen Johnson, absent. Trustee Ronnie Alberico.
Here.
Trustee Dion Wright. Here. Highway Commissioner Jim Louch, absent. Collector Jessica Kennedy, absent. Attorney Gary Mueller.
Present.
Thank you. All right, first item on the agenda for the Road and Bridge Fund is for the approval of minutes for the monthly meeting of October 14th, 2025. I will need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Dean Morelli.
I'll second.
I have a second by Dion Wright. Any questions on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to bills. I have bills in the amount of $133,222.31. I will need a motion and a second to pay the bills.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ronald Perico.
I'll second.
A second by Dion Wright. Any questions on the bills? All right, hearing none. Madam Clerk, please have a roll call.
Sabian.
Yes.
Morelli.
Yes.
Alberico.
Yes.
Wright. Yes.
Do we have any citizens wishing to address the board tonight in regards to the Road and Bridge Fund? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on. No commissioners report for tonight. I have no other business. Any final questions or comments from the board tonight in regards to the Road and Bridge? All right, hearing none, if I can entertain a motion to adjourn the Road and Bridge Fund meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Dean Morelli,
I'll second.
second by Dion Wright. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Road and Bridge Fund meeting is adjourned. Moving on now to the Lockport Township regular meeting agenda. The first item up for approval is the approval of minutes. I have minutes for Town Senior NGA for the monthly meeting of October 14th, 2025. I will need a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ronald Perico,
I'll second.
a second by Dion Wright. Any questions on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to bills. I have 3 sets of bills for tonight. For town, I have bills in the amount of $364,695.70. For senior, I have bills in the amount of $38,889.61. And for GA, I have bills in the amount of $10,272.75. Does anyone have any questions on either of these 3 sets of bills? All right. Hearing and seeing none, if I could entertain a motion and a second to approve all 3 sets of bills.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Dean Morelli,
I'll second.
second by Ronald Perico. Madam Clerk, could I please have a roll call?
Wright. Yes. Alberico.
Yes.
Morelli.
Yes.
Sabian.
Yes. Moving on to public comments. Do we have any public comments from any residents here tonight? All right, hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. So I do have reports here on the agenda, but we also have a few folks presenting here today. So just out of respect for their time, we'll move the agenda around a little bit. I'll save reports to last. The 2 main topics of discussion I'd like to bring up with the board tonight are, 1, the Fairmont Drainage Aquifer Project update. We do have our consultants here tonight, Kindheart Consulting with both Kathy and Kate. And then we also need to approve an IGA for Central Will Dial-A-Ride and the County of Will. This is regarding our contract we have with PACE. And so for that, we have the IGA, and we do have a call-in from the Will County Executive's Office here to answer any questions. I think the IGA is something we can go over quickly. And so what we'll do is we'll go through the approvals first, and then we'll go back to reports and new business, if that's okay with everyone. All right, so if we fast forward then just to approvals, we have a resolution, but again, we'll jump to the intergovernmental agreement between Central Will Ride and the County of Will. So I'll give everyone a minute to grab it in their packet, but it's this really big packet. So just to give everyone a little bit of context, every year we, as in the township, we have a contract with PACE. And PACE, they give rides to residents across Will County, including Lockport Township, and many of these residents are senior residents, residents with disabilities, and oftentimes they're filling in gaps in areas where our senior bus can't always reach, right? Outside of hours, other locations, you have folks with disabilities. And so how it's worked is every year we renew this contract, and the township, we pay our contribution based off of residents in our township that take that bus program, and we subsidize it. And we pay them on, I think it's a monthly basis. What we're doing here with this IGA is Will County Executive's Office. They actually started this a little bit with Eastern Will County last year. But the idea is, rather than have the townships each manage their own contract with PACE, the idea is to consolidate everything under the County Executive's Office, so that we do fully have transportation across the county. Now from, a paperwork standpoint, like client-facing, nothing is going to change. If we look on page 3 of the IGA, all that's really happening is with this IGA, we're in agreement with all of the townships in central Will County, as well as Will County and the Dial Ride program. We're essentially taking a phased approach so this could be consolidated under Will County. In 2025 and then the next year in 26, we're still paying our full amount that we're expected to pay every year. And then in 27, we pay 80, the county pays 20, and then it goes down a little bit until we get to 2030, where we're only paying 20 and the county's paying 80, and then finally 2031 and beyond, it's fully transitioned over to the county. So from our end, the services isn't changing, residents are still getting the services they deserve, where it's just the payment's just going to be a little bit different. So, but for that, of course, there needs to be an IGA between all the townships and the county. The townships have been given input on this IGA the past couple of weeks, even the past few months. Everyone's pretty much on board. So now we just need to formally approve it, but I'm sure there might be a question or two. So for that, Colin from the Executive's Office is here to answer any questions if folks have any. Hey, Colin.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me to this anniversary. Sorry I could not be there in person today, but I'm more than happy to go over any questions you may have about the transition or the addition of services available for Lockport Township residents.
Thank you, Colin. Does the board have any questions regarding this, the IGA, any changes?
No, to me, I believe you clarified everything up front, that nothing will change, it's just really the agreement and the amounts who's going to pay and what years.
Okay. Ron, Dean?
I'm pretty, I've been doing this back when I was supervisor, so I'm pretty aware of what's going on here, and I'm totally agree with you.
Okay.
Good.
Cool.
Yeah, if there's nothing changed other than this payment plan, which is fine.
Awesome.
I do appreciate Colin being
Yeah,
here.
thanks, Colin.
Thanks, Colin. Thank you.
So, then
You
in that case,
guys are a great crowd to talk to, thank you.
so in that case, we'll get right down to business. If I could entertain a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement between Central Will Dial Ride and the County of Will.
So moved.
A motion by Ronald Rico,
I'll second
second
that.
by Dion Wright. Madam Clerk, I please have a roll call.
Rico,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Sapien,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. IJ is approved. Thank you, everyone. And thanks so much, Colin.
All right, thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night.
Have a good night. All right, so we have the IGA complete. On the same topic of approvals, we do have Resolution 2025-4, which is a resolution to formally award professional engineering services contract for the Fairmont Stormwater Rehabilitation Project to PRA for Engineering Resource Associates from Warrenville, Illinois. I'll give everyone a quick moment to find that resolution in their packets, but naturally, before we do approve that resolution, I think it would be appropriate for our consultants to give us an update regarding this process and just fill us in a little bit about how we got to the resolution. So with that, I'll hand it over to Kathy and Kate, and then you should be able to share your screen. I gave permissions.
Okay, there we go. Can you see it? There we are. Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to present our findings on the RFQ for the Fairmont Stormwater Rehabilitation Project 2025-2026. A little background, as you all may remember, Lockport Township was working with Will County and the United States Army Corps of Engineers to complete a comprehensive flood study model to support the ditch, culvert, retention, and detention plans previously drafted for Fairmont by P3 Engineering Group. The Army Corps held 2 public meetings in Fairmont on 2 dates. The first being June 17th, where the Army Corps presented their approach, which was to divide Fairmont into 2 watersheds and develop drainage solutions for each with cost estimates. The August 19th meeting, the Army Corps presented a combination of solutions. The North Watershed included ditches, a stream restoration, and sewer alternatives, while the Southeast Watershed included ditching alternatives that would increase the depth of existing ditches and increase culvert sizes. This is the result of the Army Corps in their preliminary study. And for the North Watershed, it was, as I noted, to increase storm sewer size, increase the total number of ditches, increase the depth of ditches, increase the depth of driveway culverts, and a historic stream restoration along Barrett Avenue between North and Nobes Avenue, which included improved 7 single-family residents and 2 vacant parcels that were built on top of the stream. The Southeast Watershed results included increased total number of ditches, increased depth of existing ditches, increase the size of existing culverts, increase the size of existing storm inlets, increase the depth of driveway culverts, and a series of homeowner site improvements to reduce flooding on properties. The Army Corps' role, study goal, and timeline. The Army Corps' role was to provide technical expertise and analysis, community education, and propose solutions to the existing flooding challenges in Fairmont, developing an overall plan for potential urban flood damage reduction measures. The study goal was to improve flood resilience and flood risk awareness in Fairmont. The study undertakings included analysis of existing stormwater systems and historical flooding trends. There was community outreach at the 2 workshops, development and evaluation of conceptual options to reduce flood risk, concept level cost estimates, and identification of potential funding opportunities. This kicked off in December of 2024, with the modeling analysis being conducted in 25, with the workshops being held in June and August, with a final assessment to be released in the summer of 25, with the report recommendations to be issued by September 30th. With the government shutdown, this report is on hold, and our final communication with Kara and Zion, the Army Corps team, regarding the release of this report was that it was in review at the time of the government shutdown and was considered a low priority item, and they had no further information on its release. So Lockport Township goals, finding solutions that consider the community and future development of Fairmont. Engineering task included in the RFQ and the responsibilities for the engineering groups, identified as design, construction engineering for the southeast watershed. So to clarify, design will be for the north and southeast watershed with only construction engineering completed in the south watershed based on the total, based on the constraints of the ARPA funding. Construction supervision and the creation of a stormwater atlas. The stormwater atlas was a recommendation of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, something that could have been done in the past, but now we'll take this as an opportunity to complete. So there is a comprehensive view of the existing stormwater system and then a post-construction view of the existing stormwater system to facilitate repair and to facilitate expansion.
Okay, the RFQ timeline. The request for qualifications was issued on September 15th. The notice of intention to submit was due on September 29th. There was a mandatory tour of Fairmont that was hosted by Alex and I. We were joined by the Highway Commissioner, a couple board members, and the interested firms. We toured all sewers and inlets that were identified on the Army Corps' initial study. We also added some properties that removed their ditches and saw the interconnections of the City of Joliet stormwater system. Then there was the submittal date for qualifications on October 14th at 1 p.m. The interviews and scoring were held on October 20th through the 21st. Notice of selection was issued on October 23rd. Contract scope development was held between October 27th through the 30th. And that leads us to today, where we're seeking board approval to contract with the selected engineer. And then the contract award on the 7th. So the RFQ content requirements were firm description and qualifications, project understanding, project approach, project experience, project team for all 4 engineering tasks, a staff availability for all 4 engineering tasks, innovative ideas, and include costs and timeline for each engineering task. So for the bid advertisement for this Fairmont Stormwater Project, we advertised on the township's website, the Herald News, and through UNA Open Bids. UNA Open Bids is a widely used platform for public procurement. It is utilized by agencies and firms across the country to bid and post a variety of projects. So it gave us great visibility and transparency. For this posting, we specifically targeted engineering firms located in Illinois, preferably those who were in closer proximity to Lockport Township and have proven experience in stormwater management and rehabilitation projects. Our bid ad included a clear scope of work outlining the rehabilitation of the drainage system that served both Fairmont watersheds, along with the project's accelerated timeline and completion requirements. Also included were all key documents which were made available through this bid ad. Our bid was posted on September 14th with a submission deadline of, September 15th with a submission deadline of October 14th at 1 p.m., giving interested firms ample time to respond.
So now we're going to go over the interested engineering firms, their score, their experience, their plan, their pros and cons, and total cost. Chastain Engineering Group received a total of 9 points out of 40 with the potential to earn 4 extra credit points. They had 71 years experience, however their plan missed required information on project completion. Plan was to follow the existing storm system and to make improvements to ditches, culverts, and storm sewers. The pros were they had a partner, Valdez Engineering, for project construction. So they weren't staffed to provide that service, so they had had an agreement with another firm to provide that service to meet our timeline. And the stormwater projects they completed some stormwater projects, but on a smaller scale. The cons were the plan was heavily reliant on the U.S. Army Corps study, and we notified every group in an addendum that this study was delayed and we did not know when it was going to be released. The funding timeline was not achievable with a late construction start. They believed because the plan was improvements to the existing system, they could go to a late bid, and their total cost was $440,774. GSC Engineering Group, 22 points, 33 years experience, completed similar projects, no proposed plan provided in the RFQ or interview presentation, similar project experience, no proposed improvement concepts given, heavily reliant on the U.S. Army Corps study, and a late construction start were all the cons that we saw reflected in their scoring. Total cost, $558,660. Baxter and Woodman, which was the only Will County firm, the other firms are in Cook and DuPage, 70 years, and that is with an office in Will County, but they have offices all over the Midwest. But 70 years experience, highly qualified, plan focused on culverts, ditch, stormwater improvements, completed similar stormwater projects, would meet the timeline. Their plan was heavily reliant on the U.S. Army Corps study for modeling. And their total cost was $790,015. Clark Dietz, total of 40 points, had 55 years experience, also highly qualified, combined ditch, culvert, and storm systems with the addition of underground conveyance in the southeast watershed. Completed similar stormwater projects and would meet the timeline, prepared to go to modeling without the U.S. Army Corps study. Timeline was to go to bid in March of 26, and it was risky lending, leading to an award in April that could delay the township board approval of contractor until May. However, they would, and their con also was that they would break the project down and award multiple contractors, and this can cause construction overlap and create management problems. And also they created a project to be completed in 2026 for the North Watershed, which was not requested in the RFQ. And their total cost was $687,000. Engineering Resources Associates received a total of 42 points, 35 years experience, highly qualified. They convey underground conveyance for their construction project because they saw during the Fairmont tour that the current system had been corrupted in several locations where prior improvements were completed. Completed similar projects not reliant on the U.S. Army Corps study. Incorporated the Will County GIS, and we'll go on that on the next page, to prepare for their interview. And they also went out to Fairmont on October 19th to visibly inspect areas of pooling and pooling to start a flow analysis. They created a bid, so they would create the bid so they would award one contractor to use multiple crews. This is good, but then again, that was also considered a con. Attempting to use one contractor with multiple crews, they feel the project is large enough to compete with the large-scale area projects that will happen in 2026 construction season, and namely the city of Joliet was a concern of ours. So Engineering Resource Associates was the selected group receiving the highest score, and again, this was based on years of experience in completing several similar projects of equal or larger scale within time and budget. Only firm to use Will County GIS for stormwater modeling for RFQ and interview. Within the range of fees for most qualified firms. Only firm to do additional field surveying post-significant rain event to verify the Will County GIS findings. The only firm to state underground conveyance as the best long-term option reducing corruption by private property owners. Proposed timeline will meet funding deadline and will work with the township to complete grant applications to fund remaining system improvements. At this time, I'd like to ask if any of the board members have questions.
I don't have any questions. I was on the tour, and they were very attentive to what Fairmont area needed and willing to work with us, so I don't have any questions.
Dean or Ron, I know that was a lot of information, so even if there's any questions either about the interview process, the firm, or just this project in general, I don't know if you have any questions, but feel free to ask.
I guess my only concern, Kathy, I know we've been through this a lot of times through the past years. We spent a lot, or the county has spent a lot of money on Fairmont flooding, and we're still back at the same drawing board. So I want to make I guess I want some assurance that this one's going to work.
Oh, this one's going to work because we're not doing the same thing over and over again, Ron. I mean, it's kind of like every plan it was like, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing and expecting different results. Let's do a ditch. Oh, it gets filled in. Let's do culverts. Oh, they get filled in. And what we focused on in this RFQ was the realization that Fairmont was developed for single-family residences with one car. It was, older housing stock that was, post-World War II. It was built to accommodate workforce housing stock. At that time, workforces had one car.
Yeah.
Now our world is completely different in Fairmont, which is what's forcing the filling in of the ditches and culverts, is to accommodate off-street parking. The streets are narrow. We don't have enough space to park on street. So the best method is to start looking at underground conveyance where we can run those systems in the easements where those ditches are, fill them in, top them, and have more off-street parking, and eventually get the funding to, we'll have that worked out to be ready to have sidewalks. And so the curbs and the gutters, those will be installed. We've worked with ditches and culverts. That's not successful. However, it's kind of like, well, we had this plan, so let's use it, but we're not there anymore because that plan didn't work. So now what we need to do is find the solution that works, and that's underground conveyance. So yes, this is the most successful long-term plan.
And Kathy, to add on, I think my understanding as well, at least for the past few years I've been on board, is a lot of the projects that the county has helped the township with, usually it's with CDBG funds, those tend to be smaller projects, right? Like in the ballpark of 300, 600,000, it's a little piece of Fairmont here, a little piece over there, versus this is like more of a comprehensive plan for all of Fairmont, right? This is a $5 million plan with the federal government. The county steps in when needed, but this is a comprehensive versus, putting together little pieces, right?
Correct. Yeah, perfectly said. It's not a piecemeal project because it was designed, because Ron and I were there, it was designed to be segmented and to do a portion at a time and a portion at a time. And because it was only solely going to be funded with CDBG dollars. And we have this wonderful opportunity to utilize these ARPA funds to do something that was not considered because this funding source wasn't available. So exactly what you said.
Dean, did you have any questions?
No questions. I mean, after hearing what I'm hearing, I sure hope it works out. Like I said, for years and years and years, it seemed that we kind of just were beating our head against the wall, and everything we did just didn't really come to anything. So, sounds good.
I hope it works.
Yeah, you were there too, Dean.
Yeah, forgive me for being skeptical.
No, I understand, and believe me, we fully understand the urgency and the priority of this project and the importance, which is why we called in the big dogs. That's why we have Kathy and Kate to help us. That's why we have the engineering firm. That's why we have $5 million from the federal government, because this is a really big project. So I fully understand the healthy skepticism, and it's always welcome. All right, I think that's all our questions, Kathy. I'm not sure if you have more slides.
Just a couple. I just wanted to point out the ERA's phasing and timeline to complete engineering tasks. This is a hydrology model they started without even getting the contract. As they further went and inspected after the rain events in Fairmont to verify the amount of stormwater pooling and to rate it. So they've already started is what I'm trying to convey without even being awarded, because they wanted to show that they're eager to succeed with our timeline and to provide the solutions that are needed in Fairmont. And this is their project timeline, which I know is small, but I want to point out some very specific things. With contract approval, the work is going to begin immediately. So we're going to start concept planning and modeling primarily in southern Fairmont, and then they'll work on to northern Fairmont. And the reason why we're starting in southern Fairmont is because we're doing the construction plans for the southeast watershed. Construction plans will start in December and be completed in January, with the release of the bid to complete the project in southeast watershed in February, with a March award, with anticipated construction to start in April. What's interesting is the modeling and the work that needs to be done with the GIS and the on-the-ground surveying will then go into the development of the stormwater atlas. So all of these can run concurrently, meeting that timeline. With the construction start timeline, they're estimating with the contract that substantial completion will be done by the end of August, leaving us a month window for any time delays, so we can ensure to meet the ARPA funding guideline. And with that, thank you very much. And I will take my notes down, because believe me, I have notes everywhere, and I'm going to stop sharing. And thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathy. And do we have any final questions or thoughts from the board? Not just Ron, Dion, or Bean, but also Gary or Aaron. Anyone, feel free to have any questions.
I'm good, thank you.
All set? All right. Well, thank you so much, Kathy. That's great. On that note, if we could go over to Resolution 2025-4. So this resolution, which was drafted by our attorney, Gary. Thank you so much, Gary, especially given the tight turnaround. This is a resolution that is formally awarding the contract to the winner of the bid, which is Engineering Resource Associates. This follows, we have to pass the resolution in order to be compliant with federal regulations, given that this is an ARPA project. But before we approve it, do we have any questions from the board? No. All right, hearing and seeing none, if I could entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2025-4.
Yeah, I kind of went blank. Oh my God, it's been a long day for me. I apologize.
Yeah. I have a motion by Dion Wright.
Yeah, for 2025-4.
I have a motion by Dion Wright. Do I have a second? I have a second by Ron Alberico. Madam Clerk, could I please have a roll call?
Sapia?
Yes.
Morelli?
Yes.
Alberico?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
The motion carries and the resolution 2025-4 is approved. Thank you to the board. And then, of course, the contract should be signed by end of this week. The current scope is under legal review, but as soon as we approach next steps, I'll keep the board updated. All right. And with that, I want to thank Kathy and Kate. I want to thank you so much for all the work you've done and the presentation. You're welcome to stick around, but I also understand there's other ways to enjoy your Tuesday night. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate and Kathy.
Well, thank you for the offer, but we will leave. Thank you all very much. Thank you. All right, bye.
so that's our second approval for the night. While we're on the topic of approvals, we may as well just move on to our last approval, which is support for the City of Crest Hill 2025 Winterfest. I'll give everyone a second to find that, and then I am going to share my screen now. Everyone should have it in their packet. It's a letter from the City of Crest Hill. So just to give everyone some context, everyone should also have a spreadsheet in their packet, but I have it up here on the monitor as well. But so every year in our budget, we have a line item that budgets funding for support and events from our municipalities in the township, which are mainly Crest Hill, Romaville, and Lockport. And so in total, it's an amount of $20,000, which is roughly between $6,000 to $7,000 per municipality. Now, in general, we look at the City of Lockport and the Village of Romaville. They have many events. They invite us to many. They ask us to support. And as you can see, generally speaking, we use the full funding, the 6 to 7, sometimes a little bit more, to Lockport and Romaville. For Crest Hill, I even presented to their board, their council last year. They don't have as many events, and so we actually had to encourage a joint event of our own, like a shred event. And so last year was the first time we held a shred event held jointly between the township. City of Crest Hill was at their parking lot. It went well. This year we continued the tradition. The turnout was also great. We had volunteers, many of the alderpersons over at the city. And then what we do is we split that amount just for 125. Now, we actually still have quite a bit of funding left for Crest Hill. And so I spoke with them again at the shred event, and they mentioned that this year they want to have their first ever, like a big Winterfest parade and everything, booths, etc. This is the first year that they're doing it. It's being spearheaded by their administrator as well as one of the alderwomen, Claudia Gazal. And so she sent me this letter and formally requested if we'd be able to support their event. And given that we still have quite a bit of funding, and in the past we haven't funded as much because there hasn't been events, I did ask them, given these levels, what's your recommendation? And so, again, given that there's some funding left, they politely requested for us to be the presenting sponsor, which is in the amount of $5,000. Now, it does come with some perks. I personally, like for example, there's opportunity to speak. The Romaville one is on the same day, and I already committed to that one, but if, for example, somebody wanted to speak, they certainly could. I don't view this so much as, we want our logo everywhere, but more so as we want to support the City of Crest Hill. There's different levels, but before I go any further, I will hand this over to the board for discussion.
I grew up in Crest Hill, lived my whole childhood there. I have a soft spot in my heart for Crest Hill. I still feel that's my home. I would support it with the $5,000.
Good to hear. And certainly, I also think, I think one of the big priorities coming into this term was, naturally us being in Lockport and being in Lockport Township, a lot of our services are geared towards Lockport, a lot of support is for Lockport, that's great, but we also want to make sure we're giving love to the other side of the bridge. And so we've been giving Romaville a little bit of love, but I think it's also good to give Crest Hill a little bit as well, especially as Trustee Albrigo mentioned, there's a few of our board members that are from Crest Hill, so I would also be for the presenting sponsorship. I don't know if either Dean or Dion had any thoughts or questions.
I would support that idea to sponsor $5,000 for Crest Hill. Only if Rod is going to speak. Gotta come with some type of option here. The donations, Rod.
Hey, if I'm going to speak, that's the place I'd speak at.
Yeah, I think so. And again, just full disclosure is the Romaville one's on the same day. So I will be you know, if the board were to approve it, I would be happy to attend the Crest Hill, but I wouldn't be able to stay there for the whole time. I'd be splitting my time between Romeoville and Crest Hill. So if there's an opportunity to speak, I'm happy to hand it over to anyone. Again, I'm not looking for publicity here. Dean, did you have any thoughts?
Not really. I mean, I know, like you said, we do contribute to Lockport quite a bit and Romeoville, so I don't want them to let them feel like we're forgetting about them, but I mean, obviously, that's quite an amount to jump to, but I know we do have the money allotted for that anyway, so.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, I know it's like a surprising amount, but we look at Lockport, 6,000, and Romeoville, 5,000. We're not too far off.
Right.
But, all right, seems like we're all in agreement. So if I could entertain a motion to support the City of Crest Hill 2025 Winterfest with a presenting sponsorship of $5,000.
So moved.
A motion by Ronald Rico,
I'll second that.
second by Dion Wright. Madam Clerk, I please have a roll call.
Sapien?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Alberico?
Yes.
Borelli?
Yes.
Motion carries. So now we'll move on. So now we're done with our approvals. We do have some new business and some reports, so we'll kind of work our way back. So we'll go to new business. For new business, we did already have the presentation regarding Fairmont drainage. I did have two updates I wanted to give to the board. So one is regarding the food pantry. So as the board may recall, the Lockport Fish Food Pantry is their leadership is looking to retire, and they're looking to hand off the food pantry and leave it in good hands. And you know, starting back in June and July, we can call it a subcommittee that consists of myself, our administrator, trustee Karen Johnson, and our attorney Gary Mueller, has been meeting and discussing, as well as email correspondence with the Fish Food Pantry leadership regarding how that transition looks. And the action items that we left from that meeting were three things. One, we need a copy of the Fish Food Pantry's bylaws. Second, we need a list of the food pantry's assets, so equipment, inventory, etc. And then third is, you know, for legal reasons, we need a list of all their major donations beyond $600 in case there are any stipulations attached. Just because, you know, the food pantry being a 501c3 and the township being a government entity, that of course presents some legal complexity. Now, in the past few months, it's been a little bit tricky to receive this information. Mainly, we have not yet received the second or the third item, the bylaws. We've been going a little bit back and forth. The most recent update is that we received the bylaws after we received the incorrect ones. Now, the bylaws were amended, and the challenge there was that even though the bylaws were amended, there's no formal documentation that shows that amendment was approved, right? And for legal reasons, we of course need to know that the bylaws were formally approved by the board and not just made and then sent over to us. Now, it's been a little challenging, but we've discussed with the food pantry board, and you know, we both agree that we're both acting in good faith. It's just been a little challenging. However, that said, the food pantry did bring in their vice president, and their vice president, folks may know this gentleman, but the vice president was the point person for when the township bought this building and the food pantry was moving into the building. We had one point person, and that was the vice president. And I actually just had a meeting and a lunch with this individual yesterday. They're very eager, very energetic, and a lot of the challenges about just receiving these documents is just regarding ability or time constraints, but this gentleman emphasized that he would certainly prioritize this. So going forward, you know, our point person is our administrator, their point person is their vice president. So we're optimistic about this transition, but again, we're still in this step where we're just looking to request their documents. So once we do receive those documents, of course, we will send them over to our attorney for legal review, and then we will go from there, and we'll determine, you know, how can we best transition food pantry over to the township. At the same time, our administrator being the point person, she has actually gone down to the food pantry just to learn a little bit about the operation. Mainly she's gone down, this is her third time now, to shadow for a couple of hours, learn about inventory, and how to, submit a purchase order, how to pay for quantities, etc. So it's just a soft transition. We're just making sure that folks know about the operation, but again, nothing serious will go on until we approve everything. But that's the update I have for the food pantry. Do we have any questions on that?
Alex, I don't know if you would know, is our pantry open 3 days? Do we distribute groceries, is it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or is it just?
Yeah, that is correct.
8:30 to 11.
So,
Okay, so how many families, they've got a list or a number, correct, as far as how many people or families we do provide to?
correct. So, yes, to reiterate your point and to agree with the clerk, they're open Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's about half the day, it's mainly in the mornings. On Tuesdays, through a partnership to the food pantry, they do have a food truck that comes in. They usually set up in one of the garages, and folks come in early, they line up, they get some fresh produce, etc. To your point about, yes, they do have a list of families. And in fact, they, just like general assistance, they have an application they need to fill out, some proof of ID, income, etc. And then from there, based on their household size, they're given a list of items they can take. How many gallons of milk, how many, rows of butter, eggs, etc. How many families? I'm not sure. I can certainly ask them though. I don't think that should be too difficult. My understanding is when they do get approved, their application does get approved, they're allowed to come in once a month. It's not just a one-time thing only. Now they can't come in every week, it's once a month. I do know though that in the past 3 to 4 weeks, when we've spoken with the food pantry, they have said that the amount of people coming in has considerably increased, considerably. And I know we're talking about the fish food pantry here, but on the topic of food pantries, Fairmont Food Pantry, which is a pantry we also support, we've been in communication with the Park District. Their volumes have also significantly increased. So now given the shutdown and when staff was in jeopardy, we did reach out to both of them and see if they need additional help. But number of families, I can certainly get that number for you. And I don't know if there's any other data you'd like to know.
Well, I think I'll just get information. I'll stop over there and just talk to them, because like I said, I know they're all a little different, because I did speak to a gentleman that works at one in Joliet, and they actually package the groceries and they're ready for the resident. The resident don't get to pick out what they want. They package it for them, and so I guess everybody's a little bit different.
Is it St. John's?
Yeah.
So they do not require income, anything,
Right.
Anyone can go where we have
Well, that's supported through the diocese, and they
have a Saturday morning from 8 to 10. They serve like up to 500 families a week.
yeah, I know they do 150 regularly, which, I don't know if we're at that amount or not, but I just, like I said, it sounds like everybody's a little bit different, and like I said, just to see what exactly it would take for us if we did have to step up and take it over, what it's going to take. So.
Yeah, and you're always welcome to come Monday, Wednesday, Friday at any point. Food pantry folks are very nice, and they're more than happy to show you around. It's a little bit different here. It's almost like a little grocery store. You come in, you sign up at the front, you actually get a grocery cart, you pick up your items. And there's a little bit of a morale to that as well, right? Give folks the ability to pick and choose their food as well. But yeah, to that point, everyone's a little bit differently. They do have a little bit more stricter requirements, simply because they do receive funding from the township government as well as the state government, New Illinois Food Bank, etc. So that comes with certain regulations.
I was going to say the same thing, that, it's more like a grocery store here, so you can pick out what you want. And I do want to say that Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, is open to all of them every week. So they can all come and supplement on Tuesday, whatever.
Is that truck on Tuesday, is that from the northern food bank?
Yes.
It's technically separate from the food pantry. They work together, obviously, and they'll use the same volunteers, but it's technically separate from the food pantry. But
And on those Tuesdays, they get a lot of perishable items,
Yeah.
available. There's Well, I have a lot of people that come in and ask different questions. So the biggest difference with ours versus Share Festival County or St. John's is that we're Homer Township and Lockport Township only, and they have to have certain requirements. The other two don't have those requirements.
All right, so that's the update on the food pantry. The next update I wanted to give was regarding the newsletter. So the newsletter, the fall newsletter edition, obviously already came out a few weeks ago. So even though it just came out a few weeks ago, we've already done work on the winter newsletter. In fact, the first draft of all the edits for all the pages just went out just late last week. We're expecting a draft from the printer hopefully later this week, where the majority of pages have already been designed. We do have an ambitious goal that we did meet last year, but we're hoping this will be in people's mailboxes the first week of December. Because we want to make sure people get this before they go on vacation for the holidays, etc. And so for that, we would need to approve the final draft right before Thanksgiving. So we're working diligently on that. On the same note, though, given that this is the last issue of the year, last year, because we had 4 newsletters as opposed to 2, it goes over the amount of 30,000, so we had to go out to bid. And that last year was our first bid. It went well. So this year, we're going out to bid again. We did establish a bid date in case anyone is interested in attending. The bid date is confirmed with the clerk's office on December 3rd, 2025 at 11 a.m. in the clerk's conference room up near the front. The bidding packet is nearly identical to the bidding packet from last year. Obviously, we're just changing some of the dates, so it's 26 as opposed to 25. The legal notice hasn't gone out yet. We have a little bit of time. I did want to send the bid packet over to the board, just in case anyone had any thoughts or wants to get familiar with it. But all it essentially is the bidding packet says, we're looking for a vendor that can design and print and mail 4 16-page newsletters for the township, etc. Come up with the mailing list, mail it out to 23,000 parcels, and then give us an extra 200, 250 copies. And then, of course, we have our responsible bidders ordinance that has certain requirements of vendors as well. One thing that I would like to experiment on a little bit that I think I will add to the bid, just because I want to test something. But now that we've had the newsletter go out 4 times a year, obviously residents are going to see this, read the information a lot more often. So I've been collecting a lot of input from residents, and in general, what I get is Lockport specifically, they know the newsletter, a lot of them read it, they know what it is, it's great. Romaville and Crest Hill, many of them will recognize it. They'll say, yeah, I get that in the mail. A lot of them will say, well, I don't read it, it says it's Lockport, I don't live in Lockport. And so sometimes they read it, sometimes they don't. And so one of my ideas was, if it really is just Lockport on the front, and we want to encourage people to read it, given that these newsletters are mailed out by zip code and they're sorted by zip code, we could theoretically say, mail out the exact copy to all 3 of the municipalities, the 3 zip codes, but then say for Romaville and Crest Hill, the cover might be slightly different. So instead of saying, Lockport Township News, it might say, we'll wordsmith a little bit, Romaville News presented by Lockport Township. Something so the name of the municipality sticks out a little bit. Now, printing-wise, we did chat with the vendor. We kept it brief, given that this might go into the bid packet, just to see what pricing would look like. But from the township's perspective, design-wise, it would be very little additional work, because we just have to add on an extra few sentences for those 2 pages. From the printer perspective, they're already printing the 23,000 copies, but now they're just printing 7,000. Instead of printing 23,000 on the same cover, they'll do 7,000 of 3 different covers and then assemble them. So instead of one go, you have one go and then 2, 3 smaller goes. So it would naturally have a slight increase in pricing. Obviously, I couldn't ask our vendor what that pricing was, but I'm curious to know what that is. And so I think I'll be adding that as an option on the bid packet. I think the main focus will still be the original 4. But I'd be curious to see what that is. And from a mailing perspective, again, the vendors have said they have to separate it and sort it by zip code anyways, so postage-wise, nothing would change, but.
Could you say, like on the cover, say Township News for the, you know,
XYZ residents?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I
And-
was
that you
thinking,
don't have to change it?
right, and I was thinking maybe you could just have the 3 Lockport, Romanville, Crest Hill on there.
That's what I was
And
gonna
just,
say, why don't you keep
and that
all
could
the
all
same?
be 23,000 printed at one time instead of.
Township News for Lockport, Crest
Mhm.
Hill, and Romanville. That'd sort of be the same for everybody when we're printing. I would just say the word money is all.
Yeah.
You know, it's an idea.
Mhm.
I'm floating with the same idea, just to
Mhm.
add that 3 townships on there.
We'll have to play around with the design,
Yeah.
because I know we tried doing that a couple issues ago, but granted it was much smaller print, so we'll just have to design it in such a way where it still says the township, but then it has the municipalities. So we'll play around with the design, and I think we may even be able to play around with it. We have enough time that we may be able to play around with it in the winter one. But good ideas, but yeah, in general, I would like us just to think of ways to encourage Romanville and Crest Hill to read the newsletter more, because again, we want to provide services to them as well. But yeah, so I'll send the bidding packet sometime hopefully by end of this week, and then we'll have a legal notice go out soon. Okay, well, I have no other updates. We can, again, work our way backwards and now go to reports. The first report being the clerk's report. Madam Clerk, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor. The clerk's office has been working on various projects over the past few weeks. We are preparing for a mid-December start date for selling the Illinois license plate sticker renewals. We have started to purchase the necessary equipment for this service. Diaper distribution and notary services have been consistent. I just submitted our totals to United Way of Will County for the months of September and October. We have to submit the number of bundles distributed per each zip code in Will County, as well as the number of families served. I then take an inventory of our stock, and lastly, I have to figure out the distribution trends and place an order accordingly. I have also included here in my report tonight a proposed regular monthly meeting schedule for 2026. There are 3 dates that are different from the second Tuesday of the month. If you take a look at the sheet, March 2nd, first Monday of the month, that was asked that we always change that because it's the beginning of the fiscal year. Then April 7th is the first Tuesday of the month because the annual town meeting is always the second Tuesday. And then November 4th, the first Wednesday of the month. This is a little bit different than what we've done in the past. Due to Election Day and TOI being the following week, we have to pick another day besides Tuesday. I thought Wednesday might be a good idea because all the election equipment and everything will be cleared out of here, and it may make it a little bit easier to set up on a Wednesday evening rather than doing the Monday evening. So those were some thoughts to look at, and I wanted to let the board know, if you have any suggestions for changes, just let me know, because we will vote to pass the schedule next month. Lastly, once again, I'd like to remind everyone that our 2026 Community Fund Day will be held from 10 to 2 on Saturday, May 16th. Any business or organization that is interested in participating with us should be sure to contact the clerk's office at 815-838-1031 or email me at erin@lockporttownship.com. Also, everybody's familiar with HerScan, that we're having our special township event on December 2nd. I'm pleased to announce that we only have 8 spots left out of the 22. So there are still 8 spots left where someone can get a free scan if they live in the township. Just give us a call. Does anyone have any questions or comments about looking at the schedule at the moment?
And then we would approve this at the next meeting?
Yes, it gets approved at the next meeting, so just throwing this out so everybody can take a look at it, look at your calendars, see what's going on. If you see any thoughts that, if you have any thoughts and you see anything you want to tell me about, just let me know. But if this is okay, this is what I will put up for everybody to vote on next month, and then I'll publish it.
Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We don't have an assessor's report tonight. I do have a brief building report. I did check in with our senior maintenance report, specifically for the garage floors, the coating, which we approved not too long ago. So the coating for the old garage, the smaller one, that finished and it dried up as of today, officially. The equipment will be moved, the equipment that we took out of the garage will be moved back in by the end of this week. The new garage, specifically, that work will take place between November 10th and November 13th. So that includes, you know, again, by then the equipment will have been moved out, the vehicles, the 10th through the 13th will include the coating, the drying, etc. And then after the 13th, sometime, you know, before Thanksgiving, we'll be moving the racks and everything back into the new garage. We did have to pay a deposit as soon as we approved the garage floor, you know, coating. And then given that the old garage was finished, we had to send another portion of the payment for that, but we still have one final portion left, and that's for the new garage, and we'll send that once that work is complete. Any questions on garage floors or anything else related to the building? Move on to mental health. So for mental health, our agreement with them is we get the invoice on the 5th of every month. Unfortunately, because we had the meeting a little bit earlier, we don't have the invoice for the month of October yet. I should be receiving it again, hopefully by tomorrow, and then I will, as soon as I receive it, I will forward it to the board. But again, in the past few months, we've been consistently between the 8 to, let's say, 13,000 range, and we still had funds in there from the previous month. But as soon as I hear back, as soon as I hear from them, I'll let the board know. And I have been working with them on just creating some graphs, statistics, etc., just a recap of the year, you know, a distribution of sessions between residents. So I should have that finalized by the December meeting, and if I have it sooner, I can send it to the board beforehand in case there's questions. Move on to the senior bus report. So the senior bus, if we look at the month of October, which is Exhibit B, see that it's been another busy month. So in October we had a total of 626 trips. The buses were operational for 21 business days, and that brings our average rides per day to 29.8. That's almost 30. If we look at previous months, we look like we're hovering around the 25 mark. September and October, we're close to the 30 mark. And so then if we turn the page, we go to Exhibit C, you see that for 2025, our average rides per month is 542, compared to last year's 507. And last month, it was 532. So we've gone up just 10 just in this past month. The staff and I did look a little bit into why we increased so suddenly the past 2 months. You know, it's great that we are providing, you know, more residents with trips, but it did seem like a sudden jump. And it seems like the common denominator here is we're getting a lot of calls from Willow Falls specifically. Willow Falls being a senior community in Crest Hill. Now, they, much like other gated community, other senior communities, they have their own bus transportation system. Well, their bus has been down for the past month and a half, and they're purchasing a new one. It's getting wrapped up. So naturally, when their bus system is down, you know, they rely a bit more heavily on the township. And so, you know, bus service has been a lot heavier, or a little bit heavier September, October, but we're managing. Any questions on the bus report? On the topic of the senior bus report, I did want to give a quick heads up to the board. I mentioned this briefly in our budget amendment meeting, but you know, currently bus dispatching, which are the folks who take in the calls from residents to make appointments or reservations for the senior bus trips, it's currently split between 2/3 part-time bus dispatchers, even though historically it's been one full-timer. Now, our bus dispatchers, there's at least one that's looking to retire, and so for that, we do have to look for someone new. Now, again, it's been, the reason we've been able to even have these part-timers, these were already existing part-time workers. Even then, one of them actually came out of retirement just to come and help us. But I think in the long term, especially speaking with our senior bus department, our administrator, it is recommended that given training for this, which is a little over 2 months, it is recommended that we go back to, the position of a full-time dispatcher. So for that though, and the way the timeline would work is we do have a job description that the administrator and I edited. We're gonna send an email to the board tomorrow morning with the job description, and we'll wait to hear any thoughts. But training-wise, if we were to, let's say, do a public hiring, let's say starting end of this week, Friday, we would take in resumes for about a week, and then following that 1 week, we would go down to interviews, and then by then we would select someone right around the day before Thanksgiving. And that's if we're being, we're on top of it, we're a little ambitious. Well, if we were to do that, the new person would start the first business day in December. Well, training is a little over 2 months because the dispatcher has to also serve as a backup driver. And the main skill is knowing the township very well geographically, right? Because they need to know if I need to schedule someone and they're going from point A to point B, how much time do we need? And so part of that, part of the training is being the bus driver for 1 month in Lockport and 1 month on the other side, Romeo and Presto. And then on top of that, there's an additional week of learning the reports in the office, etc. So even if we were ambitious, the person who starts December 1st, that new dispatcher wouldn't even be fully trained until the first week of February. And right now, time is of the essence, just because of our folks retiring. Now they are willing to stick around for a little bit to help us ensure a smooth transition and onboarding. But again, I'm giving the board a heads up. You should all be getting an email tomorrow. But it does appear there's going to be a little bit of turnover in the office. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts on that? I know that's some new information.
No questions here.
Again, the administrator and I will send an email to the board tomorrow, including the job description. But if anyone at any point has any thoughts or questions or comments, please feel free to let me know. And then we'll take it from there. And then finally, the last report for tonight is general assistance. General assistance should be behind the senior bus report. There's 2 reports, the usual, the system activity report, as well as the grant disbursements report. So for system activity, you will note we had a very slow past month, mainly because, again, we had our October meeting a little bit later, and we had our November meeting a little bit earlier, and so the period at which we tracked was just about 2 weeks. And in those same 2 weeks, LIHEAP reopened their doors, they received their funding, and so naturally people usually apply to LIHEAP, and then after they're considered, they then come to us. So that's why right now, those 2 weeks, it was a little slow, but believe me, it's going to ramp back up, especially in December. Usually what we see is electrical bills start to go down, and then gas bills start to go back up. So for these past few weeks, we only had 3 people apply, which is down from our usual 15 to 18. 3 people applied, and then one of them was eligible for emergency assistance. That amount was for $706.85, which was split between ComEd, electrical bill, their gas bill, and then their water bill to the city of Lockport. And that's also reflected in the bill list. Does anyone have any questions on the GA report? With that, go to our last page on the agenda. I won't go over the past events. Everything's gone well. I know the trunk or treat, especially spearheaded by the assessor's office, went especially well this year. Upcoming events, I did want to highlight 2 events. One is the Veterans Dinner this Thursday. Again, everyone in the board here is invited to attend. It's this Thursday from 5 to 7 at Mistwood. There's a few of us attending the TY conference next week. And then, of course, the Crest Hill Winterfest is coming up in December. Village of Romanville is on December 5th through the 6th. I'll send an email leading up to remind people as well, and again, everyone's invited to attend. If anyone would like to speak, I'm sure we could work something out. And then there's one more event happening that I meant to include on this list, but it slipped my mind. And it's not a township event per se, but I still want to give the board a heads up for transparency. State Representative Diablar is having her first Veterans Breakfast. Now, it's a much smaller version than the Township's Veterans Dinner, but she wanted to host a Veterans Breakfast on November 17th, which is a Monday, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., and she asked to host it here in the community room because she was looking for a place in Lockport. Worked with our schedule, so we're letting her host her breakfast here, again, from 8 to 10 on Monday morning. She's taking care of the logistics. The only thing we're doing is we're helping set up with tables. She's taking care of everything. She, again, wanted to extend an invite to the board if anyone would like to attend. I unfortunately cannot be there as I will be out of town, but again, if anyone would like to attend or would like to give any words or speak, again, I'm sure the representative would be happy to do that. And again, that's on the 17th at 8 a.m. Yes.
Are we still supporting Christmas in Square at Central Square? That's
Yes.
usually that Friday of Thanksgiving.
Oh, you're right. I should have added that on here.
Saturday, yeah.
Just wanted to remind you.
Yes, we are. So that is, let me pull up the spreadsheet.
Usually
Saturday,
that Friday.
29th.
Yes.
Saturday,
Yeah.
29th.
Yes. I realized I forgot because we approved the 6,000 and it goes for the car shows and the Christmas in the Square. So it's one big donation, but yes, we are supporting it.
It's Saturday.
The Saturday after Thanksgiving.
November 29th,
Yeah,
from
okay,
12 to
yeah,
5.
lighting about
4.
4.
Okay.
29.
I do usually send like a weekly email or every other week, so I'll be sure to include that in my reminder.
Yeah, just as a reminder.
Yeah, that's a good one though, thank you. All right, well, that's all I have. Any final questions or comments or thoughts from the board tonight? All right. Hearing and seeing none, if I can entertain a motion to adjourn the Lockport Township regular meeting.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ronald Rico,
I'll second that.
second by Dion Wright. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. The Township regular meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but- All right, Mr. Rodney.
Oh, great, great.